Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I decided to go a little bit more of a negative route, but a fun one. So I see people do these all the time where they go onto Goodreads and they check people's ratings on their favorite books, specifically the 1-star ratings. And obviously this is gonna irk my nerves a little bit reading these, but we're gonna be judgmental today. I have chosen my top 5 books that I literally love, and I still to this day cannot stop thinking about them. Some of these I've read like maybe a month ago, and some of these I've read like almost 2 years ago. Not 2 years ago, 1 year ago probably. But regardless, we're going to be talking about 5 different books. We are going to be talking about The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I also have The One by John Mars, but it's in storage, so this is The One by John Mars. And then the last 2 are Colleen Hoover's, because are we shocked? Everyone loves Colleen Hoover. So we have Verity here by Colleen Hoover, and we also have Layla by Colleen Hoover. So those are the 5 books that we're going to be talking about today. I'm just going to jump right into it. We're going to start with The Silent Patient, because I'm definitely interested in seeing how many people dislike this book, because I feel like it was such a huge thing all over TikTok and Bookstagram. So I'm gonna do a little screen record for you guys, put it right here. But we are gonna look up The Silent Patient. Obviously you can see, or maybe you can't see, I don't know. Well, you can see that I read it, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 star. Apparently I did 5, but 4.5. So let's go take a look at these reviews. So as you can see, there are a total of 808,000 reviews, and out of that, 10,539 are 1 stars. It's definitely a small amount, but 10,000 people is a lot. So let's just take a look here. Okay, so this person here says, read anything else on your TBR first, anything. Better yet, delete The Silent Patient from your TBR. If you do, you'll never know what it feels like to become aware that you could have spent 4 to 5 hours reading a great book, or at least a better book. Definitely a book that doesn't do a major disservice to anyone who practices in the mental health field or who lives with a mental health impairment. And maybe even a book that doesn't present misogyny on every page. Interesting. You know, I feel like this person is taking it a little bit too personally. Totally get where they're coming from with the misogyny and like mental health and stuff like that, but that's like, it's fiction, it's a book, and if it was meant to be just like exactly how psych wards are in real life, then I feel like it just wouldn't have been very interesting. It would have almost been like a science fiction as opposed to a thriller. So I feel you, but I think you're taking it way too seriously when it comes to that, sorry. The Silent Patient fails as a psychological thriller on all fronts. Its narrator lacks any credibility as a psychotherapist, as an employee, as a spouse, as a man. All characters are flat and inauthentic. Okay, I'm gonna stop there again, because definitely I feel like the main character, who is the silent patient, Alicia, I feel like obviously because she's not talking, you can't really get to know her that well, so you can't really say that like the characters are flat and like inauthentic, because honestly the main character, Theo Faber, I think had a lot of character to him, but that's just me. Okay, let's move on to someone else. Someone just said,
not silent enough.
Okay. Oh my gosh, someone literally said, I hated this book. The women are all tired, cliched stereotypes that often veer into misogyny. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about misogyny in this book, which is very interesting. Because once again, I feel like because this book is in a male perspective, it's his thoughts. So I don't know. I don't really agree with that, but I can understand where you're coming from. Again, I just think you're just taking it a little too personal. So just saying. Okay, let's look for one more. Oh my god, someone was like, this was insufferable. I do not know why, but I hate everything about this book. I don't even understand why people like this book. The main character was horrible. His actions and decision-making process was irritating. But don't we all make irritating and weird decisions sometimes. I mean, I feel like once again, for any fiction book, you're gonna find that a lot of the main characters are making like kind of stupid decisions, almost like in like scary movies when people pick up the phone. Like if they don't pick up the phone, there's no movie. So they kind of have to make bad decisions for this to actually be a book. Overall, there were a few things that I obviously understand that for what these people are saying, but a lot of it I feel like they're just taking it too personal and too literal. So The Silent Patient is a really good book, and my friend Bianca actually rated this book. Yeah, she rated it 5 stars, so I trust her judgment on that one. Moving on, we are going to go into the John Mars books. So What Lies Between Us? What are you doing? Hey baby, there's a tail. Okay, so this book definitely isn't as huge as the one by John Mars. I gave it a 5 out of 5 star. I thought this book was excellently written, and honestly John Mars is like my go-to author, so that's probably why. But I'm gonna go look at how many reviews we have here. So we have total 27,658 reviews, and out of those reviews there are 1,094 1 stars. So let's just dive right in. The first one honestly looks pretty promising. So Penelope says, predictable twists, awful characters, and an offensive portrayal of a mental illness that was overused in the 20th century soap operas. Everything about this is inaccurate and ludicrous, not to mention harmful to people stereotyped by this crap who are already vulnerable and misunderstood. Also, plot holes you could drive a truck through. Sorry, but I did not care for this book. I mean, obviously I disagree. I feel like the twist to me was not very predictable. Like, for probably the first quarter of this book, I was still kind of wondering like why, because there were certain things the mom did to the daughter and certain things the daughter did to the mom that I was like, yeah, that kind of sucks, but like, why are you chaining your mom up in the attic? I don't really understand. I kind of get that part, but that made it not like it was not predictable to me at all, especially the ending. So I think you're wrong, but moving on. Okay, this one says stop demonizing mental illness. That's all it says. And I think I can understand this, but also from like an author standpoint, choosing mental illness as a psychological thriller like plot is good, because literally you're talking about psychology and people with mental illness are studied like all the time in psychology. So I think it makes sense, but if you don't, cool. Yeah, someone said, it took me way too long to read this. Anything, literally anything you could think about happened in this book. It was just too much for me to bear and also so damn unbelievable. I only expect so much drama in bad NA books, not a thriller. I couldn't sympathize with any of the characters, and boy, I really tried my best. I rooted for nobody except me to finish this and get over with. Okay, honestly same. Like I wasn't really rooting for anyone in this book. The characters, like I connected to them because of everything they went through, but I didn't like either of them. But I don't think that makes for a bad book, because the plot was honestly there, and I think that she thought there was way too much happening. To a point I can agree, but I also think it was like the perfect amount of too much happening, where I was just like constantly reeled into this book. So sorry, not sorry, but I don't really agree with you. Okay, let's move on to the one, because this is the one I'm actually the most excited about. This is definitely like my favorite book of all time. So I'm really excited to see what people have to say about it. Also, this entire time I realized I have hot chocolate here, so I'm gonna drink some. My foot's falling asleep. Ugh. Okay, so for this one I did rate it a 5 out of 5. It was my absolute favorite book. Now let's go to the ratings. So in total there are 79,634 ratings, and out of that there are only 871 stars, so that's actually really good. Someone just goes, DNF. I don't know why, but I simply cannot stand this book.
Whoa, I don't know why you even bothered putting a review, to be honest.
Someone said, oh my god, I'm ashamed that we have the same name. They said, my god, this was just awful. I heard about this book through a blog that was running a competition. The concept of the book is excellent and sounded like a great thriller. Unfortunately, Mars had a great concept and about 6 ways of approaching it. Instead of picking one idea and running with it, he decided to do all of them. This led to the novel having no real direction. It was a weak thriller confused with a romance novel. It was shallower than a 14-year-old girl. What the fuck? Oh my god. I mean, if you're talking about the 6 different ways being the 6 different storylines, like, I wish that I could have read more of each of their stories, yeah, but all of the stories were still really good. So if that's what you're talking about, what? Definitely, like, this book maybe could have had more depth, but if you watch like the show that came out on Netflix compared to the book, oh my god, the book is way better. I thought it was such an easy thriller read. I love that there was romance in it. I don't really know why you think this is shallower than a 14-year-old girl, but that's your opinion. Okay, this person said, this was a great idea for a book. Unfortunately, it was riddled with distractions. Writing was poor in places, and it went into unbelievable too many times to count. In the end, I skimmed quite a few chapters just to get through it, and on the last page, well, meh. Just a big fat meh. Okay. I mean, I feel like the ending of this book wasn't really the part that made me love the book. I honestly just loved the character development. I totally understand if like the plot in this book wasn't for everyone, but for me it was definitely 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I literally would read one chapter and then be like, I need to read another and another and another. I would probably read like, I mean, keep in mind they're short chapters, but I would probably read at least like 10 right before bed because it was just that good. So, you know, y'all can have your opinions. That's the point of this, but it's really irking me that some people don't like these books. It's really sad. Okay, let's move on to Colleen Hoover, because I feel like this one is going to be kind of funny. So many people read Colleen Hoover that there are bound to be people who have rated them 1 star, and probably quite a few, honestly, but we'll see. So we're going to start with Verity. That definitely is like a huge book right now. By the way, if you don't know what any of these books are about, I will link them all in their Goodreads down below just so you can kind of get a synopsis of each book instead of me going through all of them, because that video would just be like an hour long and we don't need that. Okay, so for Verity, we have 343,717 ratings, and of that, there are 4,242 1 stars. Someone says, this was ... stupid. I don't even know how to talk about this. I don't think this is an actual mystery thriller. It is just a romance novel with a slightly different plot. Sadly, nothing about this book particularly impressed me or intrigued me. Personally, I do not think that this book is worth the time. Okay, so definitely a matter of opinion here, because I personally felt like really connected to the characters. I really enjoyed Verity like so much. I love that there was like a family dynamic with the romance, and then there was like a creepy aspect. Very eerie. Imagine yourself being an author in someone's home and you find their manuscript that basically says they want to kill their family and that they're crazy, and you're living with them. So it's kind of creepy, and you don't know how to tell the dad, like the husband of this person, whatever. I'm not going to go into it more, but I just don't get how you can not like this book. Like, this book had so much plot, so much character development. The ending was not what I was expecting at all. It was so good, but to each their own, I guess. So let's go. So this person said, the last pages felt as if Hoover eventually realized that she didn't have a twist in her thriller, so she quickly decided to throw something in there. Had it not been for such a ridiculously stupid ending, I would have given it a generous 3 stars. But alas, since I spent an evening of my life on this nonsense, I shall rate it accordingly. Why are people so upset about the ending? Like, I don't want to spoil anything in this, but I thought the ending was actually really clever and like made sense with the type of characters that were in the book, but if you just don't get that, you don't get it, I guess. Oh my god, this person said, I mean, if you like sex scenes drier than a biology textbook, sure, go off, I guess. That's kind of true. There wasn't really that much sex. It was just like she was very intrigued and like would fantasize about the main guy character, but like, yeah, there wasn't really that much sex in this book, and that's okay. So, you know, if you were looking for sex in this book, maybe don't read Colleen Hoover's only thriller book. You know, she's a romance writer, so maybe read a romance book of hers. That might be more suitable for you. All right, and last but not least, we have reached Layla. which is definitely one of my most recent 5 out of 5s, and I adore this book. Not what I was expecting at all. It's definitely like, it has a supernatural tone to it, if you're wondering, but it is a romance by her. So I'm just gonna find it. Okay. So as you can see, 5 out of 5 for me. My foot is still asleep. So in total, there are 67,865 reviews, and of that, we have 2,209 1 stars. So this person, let me just save you some time. Layla hinges on threadbare theories about the afterlife in an attempt to justify a shitbag country's musician's choice to gaslight the fuck out of his girlfriend because he fell in love with a ghost. Blah, blah, blah. Soulmates, blah, blah, blah. 300 pages plus one convenient twist later, and you have an entire novel of women being manipulated, held captive, and briefly murdered so that one sad yeehaw motherfucker can have his happily ever after. No. No, not at all. Yes, this review is dramatic and poorly written, but so is the book. Oh my god. Okay, this book was not poorly written. This person is just salty, honestly. Like, I don't know why. Like, I get, like, supernatural things sometimes can just be like, okay, a little like, I'm usually not into, like, that type into fantasy and sci-fi and stuff like that. But the fact that there was romance in it, and, like, literally there's basically only 2 characters, but, like, a 3rd character in this book, and it just kept me reeled in the whole time. I don't really know why people say things like that. This person said, I love Coho, but this didn't do it for me. Told from Lead's perspective, the main character is a guy, I found him to be a self-absorbed asshole. I didn't feel like I ever really knew Layla. Willow, well, she was just kind of there. The characters were not fully developed and the twist was no surprise. I wanted to love this book as it offers an interesting premise, however in the end it was not for me. Many readers have Layla, so ignore me and read it for yourself. Yeah, you know, I feel like we could have gotten to know Layla a little bit more. I felt like we kind of got to know Willow and Leeds the most. I'll agree with you on that, I guess. The character development in this book for the Layla was not the strongest. Yeah, this is interesting. So this person's rating is very long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they say, you know where I draw the line when it comes to romances? At abuse and torture. Sigh. So basically, I know what they're gonna say. I mean, Leeds uses Layla and her body a certain way. It sounds worse when I'm saying it out loud. I just don't want to spoil what happens, but like, he uses it in a certain way for his own benefit and someone else's benefit because he's trying to help someone. So I understand that, you know, torture and abuse is not something you really want to read about, but again, it's a dramatic book. There has to be some sort of like fucked up stuff in it. And on top of that too, if you actually read the book, you would know that Leeds feels insanely bad about doing what he's doing. So I don't think Leeds is an asshole. Maybe he has asshole qualities, like a couple, but not really. I feel like he always has everyone's best interest in mind, especially Layla's. So that ends off this video. Definitely disagree with a lot of people, but a few people I actually do understand. So that is everything for this. Once again, I'm not trying to like shit on other people. I just think that it's kind of funny reading other people's 1 stars of books that I think are 5-star. That is it for this video, guys. If you want to see more videos like this on my channel, be sure to give this one a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you do want to see more from me. I am going to be coming out very soon, probably with a October wrap-up or something like that. I want to try and start doing wrap-ups, but I don't really read that many books, honestly. I read probably 2 to 3 a month, and I guess that's like good enough, but maybe I'll end up doing something where it's like a wrap-up and like a next month TBR in one video. I feel like that might be more worth it. If any of you gave these books 1 stars, let me know. No judgment, no judgment. But if you gave it a 5-star, bye guys.